I know a lot of people watch this after the fact and just put things in context. It's Thursday after the election, and we're still waiting on the president. We have got kids that are returning to school for Charlotte-Mecklenburg if you're elementary school age. So, there's a lot of stuff going on in our world right now. I would encourage you to go back and look at some of the other Behind the Door series that we've done dealing with stress and anxiety and just going through all the things that we're kind of going through to keep our body and our mind and our kids' body and mind healthy. Today, I just wanted to kind of plug something that we've developed over the last month or two and are ready to roll it out. We developed a app at LMB Counseling. For those of you that have iPhones, it is active right now. We are working on Android. We've got a glitch on Android, so I apologize right now. As of the 5th of November, it's not up on Android yet. But for those of you that have iPhones or Apple accounts, all you do is go into the search under the app menu and just type in L ampersand B as in boy and counseling, and it'll come up. Um, what we're using it for is several different things. Some of it is, we know that everyone, for the most part, has a phone and is getting their information through their phone. So we're trying to close up that loophole that we were finding, trying to get people to let us know how they're doing. So the app does a couple different things. It has Behind the Door series on there. You can go on there and schedule appointments. You can go on there and look at videos of the tools that we often talk about in session and we've talked about here on Behind the Door. So it does a couple of different things that are very functional. The thing that we wanted it to do, and the whole reason we developed it, was we wanted to have better measurements of how our clients were doing with their symptoms. So we try to put things into factual, objective data so we can see how you're doing or how your kid's doing, and it helps drive which way the direction is going to go with your counseling. So our brand promise is after 11 sessions, you should start seeing a difference in your symptoms and management of those symptoms. So the data that you send into us allows us to be able to do that and say, all right, you're making progress, or maybe you're not. And maybe we need to have a conversation to see if we're the right fit or if we need to do something different. That way, we're not wasting y'all's time with coming to counseling. So we wanted to get better information and have it more real time because a lot of what was happening is people would come in. If we see people week to week, but certainly if you see them every 2 weeks, people just kind of forget about things that happen. Not that they're admitted it on purpose, they just kind of forget. Just the same way that you would forget, maybe what you had for dinner on Monday, or you'd at least have to think about it a little bit before you could recall it. And so um, we understand we're all busy and our brains are pulled in so many different directions, and this is just something that we are going to try to do on a every 48-hour basis. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we are sending out a notification that says, hello, could you please put in your metrics for the last 48 hours? And then it sends you right to the page that you need to go to. So there's no scrolling, there's no fumbling around. And you simply just put in, you answer 3 questions that it's asking. And what it's asking is how frequently have your symptoms been or your child's symptoms been? So, if it's depression or anxiety, or if your child is a spirited child and sometimes they get into these power struggles, things like that, or just, really intense distress, you're putting in, was it, anywhere from 1 to 20, and anything over 20 is just 20 and over. So how much of that occurred in the last 48 hours? So frequency wise, the intensity, which is that emotional temperature piece that we talk about a lot, that 1 to 10. 10 is for the spirited child is that someone that turns into the Hulk. It's people that become completely dysregulated. If you're dealing with depression, it is not getting out of bed, just not wanting to go on and do things that you need to do. It may even be really high suicidal ideation in those instances. And one is you barely notice it. And then somewhere in between, let's say it's a 5, there is distress, there is trouble in getting the motivation to do things, or maybe anxiety is really, the right shoulder is really talking a lot to you and getting and interfering with your thought process. So 1 to 10 over the last 48 hours, what the average has been, and then what is the duration of those symptoms. So we want to know, how long did you feel? So if you had it 10 times and the intensity was a 3, well, how long did that last? Was it less than 5 minutes? Was it 5 to 10 minutes? Was it 10 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes to 60 minutes, or more than 60 minutes? And so what we're doing with that information, and we're not selling anything, we're not giving the data to anybody. All we're using that data for is to load it into an Excel spreadsheet. So then once we get enough data, we can create a graph that shows you, symptoms are going down. Maybe they're going down across one of those metrics or two of those metrics or hopefully three of those metrics. Um, or they're going up or they're staying stable. And so it just gives us really good information and gives y'all really good information to be able to look at it from an objective standpoint and say, all right, I know what I feel, but maybe since you're putting this information in, maybe the facts and the data will show that actually things are getting better, or maybe they're getting worse. And going back to it allows us to have that information and helps us as a therapist kind of know what we need to do, know what's working, know what's not working. Maybe we need to try a new intervention. Maybe we're just, like I said, maybe we're just not the best fit. Um, Instead of just kind of continuing to doing what we're doing, maybe we, refer you out to a different therapy practice. So we're using all this information to help y'all and help us guide what to do. And really just so y'all can see, a lot of times people just lose sight of that they are making progress, especially people that are struggling with depression and anxiety. That they're making progress in this area. And as we've said before in some of these other series, and we say all the time in the practice, is like this stuff takes time for in your brain to be able to build out. Those pathways need time to be built. They need to be practiced over and over and over for those pathways to continue to be built and for those new habit loops to be established. And so the idea behind the metrics is to show that, hey, you're making progress. Look at this. It may not be exactly what you want, but last week, you experienced the symptoms at least 10 times a day, and this week it's only 8. And while that may not seem significant, it is a decline. And so, as much as we can get that information, and we realize that some of this is subjective, but if we shorten the amount of time, 48 hours from when trying to get that information, it's usually easier to remember. And so, like I said, we're just going to use it to help us be another tool for to help y'all and help us give you the best therapy experience we can. So, like I said before, the app does some other things, and it does the tools piece. I know that's something, especially with our younger clients, we'll give them a laminated sheet that has little tools on it, and sometimes that gets lost or goes missing or whatever. But almost all the time we have our phone on us, and if you can just click on the app and pull up the tools and watch a video, that is something that you or if it's your kiddo can do and fixate on, and hopefully it'll help rather than maybe you forgot to bring the tools or maybe you can't remember the tools. That's certainly true for maybe some of our older clients. Like those things become harder to do and harder to remember because of that emotional temperature rising and our IQ dropping. So our ability to retain and regurgitate information gets diminished as our emotional temperature rises. So now all you got to do is kind of pull the app up, click on a tool, and do one of them, and do as many as you can until you get that emotional temperature back down. So that's the idea and the design behind the app. We're really excited about it. You can certainly go sign up for it and subscribe to it, even if you're not a client. We do put out information on there every now and then with new videos, new tools, and you can even submit the data yourself. We won't be tracking it just because you're not our client, but you can. It's a way to keep you accountable if it's something that you would like help with, just to kind of know where maybe your stress or distress is. And that way you can maybe see that it's going down or going up, and it may help you decide if you need to go seek some extra help yourself. So sorry before if you're on here earlier. I don't know what happened with Facebook. It just shorted out and stopped recording. I didn't touch anything. My hands were right here. So it's pretty weird. And so I apologize if you were on here earlier and you got cut off. I don't see any questions, and that may be because the last Facebook Live it cut everybody off. Like I always say, if there's things that you have questions about that maybe I can explain better, or anyone in the company can explain better, or if there's things you would like us to talk about in the future on some of these series, and we even do some, we've done the parental or excuse me, pandemic parenting. We've done some screen talks. We did some parenting teenagers during the pandemic. So if there's some things that you're interested in more of a longer format and more of a back and forth format, be happy to do that as well, rather than these kind of like short clips. All right. So I always like to keep it under 15 minutes if possible because I know your time is precious. And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Thanks.